Welcome again. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. It's a privilege for me. Let's just talk about what a great field we've got this week. It's an amazing, might be one of the best fields we've ever had at this tournament.
Yeah, I think it's probably as good a field as we've ever had. We've got a great field. It's well, that's what you're going to have. You're going to have a great field here, no matter what it is, and we do. We've got. I don't get into specific names, but they're all here. A couple of guys had, which I had too, but I was back then. I had a wedding or a college graduation. And sometimes you miss that, and I understand that. That's good, but for all intents and purposes, all the top players in the world are here, and the golf course itself is really good. We haven't had any rain here for I don't know how long. It's been probably about a week or 10 days since you've had rain, and forecast not to have any rain. We have never had that in Columbus. I've used the phrase many times about that. I use it again. The Columbus weatherman is about 97% correct 3% of the time, and it's I hope he's 100% correct this time. And because I like dry golf courses, I think they bring the best in golfers out. It brings the best out in a golfer. It forces them to think about how they play. It's just not rear back and hit it. And it's when I played, I didn't like really particularly long golf courses. When I played, I preferred golf courses where you had to think about what you wanted to play off the tee, and think about if you went through fairways, and think about. If I put the ball in the rough on this hole, what am I going to have left? And can I stop it on the green? And what kind of shot am I going to play? I like that. And that's basically what we've got this week. And that's good.
Terrific. And just before we take some questions, I was talking with Chad Mark, superintendent, just a little earlier, and just asked if there, what changes we'd made to the golf course. And he mentioned a couple of tees, 16 and 17.
Yeah, well, we changed our maintenance area. Chad got tired of the maintenance area, so we built him a new one. And not exactly quite that way, but that's fine. But the space at behind 17, 16 tees was our maintenance area. It's now going to be the CBS compound for the television, and we have a little bit of space to do a few things. And I've always felt like the 16th hole was probably with a little better angle, a little bit more to the right, played a little bit more down the green, but by getting the tee there, we actually gained a couple of yards, but that's all right. It's downhill. It's probably downhill maybe 14, 15 feet, so it doesn't play as long as the yardage says, but it's a rather imposing shot to sit back at tee and look down there and say, that little postage stamp is where I'm going to try to hit it from here. To me today, it's a driver, but not for them today. They'll probably have to go all the way back from an 8-iron to a 7-iron. But anyway, it's pretty good. The 17th hole, when we took the compound away, it allowed us to be able to get a little bit more yardage. And I kept saying, how in the world can they keep knocking the ball by those two bunkers that are out at about 320 yards? And they did. They just kept knocking it over them. Well, it is downhill, and there's a little bit downwind, so we added probably, what did we add, Chad? How many yards did we add? We added 20 yards to it. And so we went back as far as we could go back, and back into that area. That makes it a little bit more difficult in carrying those bunkers. The guys will play more to the area where we really want them to play, which is where it's in short of those two bunkers and into the space at about 155, 60 yards, I suppose, is what it is from their end of the green. So that's really the changes. Everything else is pretty much the same. The rough is not extremely tall. It's been dry. If it's much dry, you're not going to get a lot of rough. But it's been topped off. You topped it at 4. Is that what you topped it at? Topped it at 4 inches last Friday. Won't be touched again, so it's going to grow some. And I promise you, there's a little fertilizer out there. And so I think they'll find that the rough maybe not be as long, maybe as in places, but it'll be pretty thick, and that's really more important. And really, it's not about getting the rough. Is not, in my opinion. I don't want guys getting there and just have to hack it out sideways. That's not what I want. I want them to be able to play a shot and give them an opportunity to play to the green. But if you can play to the green, you've got to figure out, because it's coming out rough, it shouldn't have spin on it, and so you're going to have to figure out how to, maneuver the ball in such a way to keep it on the green. You're supposed to be able to play a shot from the fairway. If you play a good shot from the fairway, ball played properly should stop at any green on the golf course. A ball not played properly should bounce and move through the green. And that's really what the USGA has tried to do for years with the Open, and that's what I've tried to do here. We just haven't always had the conditions to be able to do that, and this year I think we will.
Well, it looks magnificent out there, and it's a credit to the entire staff. So if you have a question, just raise your hand, and we'll get you a microphone, and we'll start with Rob in the front.
Hey, Jack. Back to your own college days. Did you have a lot of fun here off the course? And
what do you mean, did I have a lot of fun here?
When you played for Ohio State, was that just a super enjoyable time, or was it? What's your memories of that? And
well, when I'm back playing for Ohio State, I was a college student dating one Barbara Bash, who was in the back of the room there. She changed her name to Nicklaus a few years ago, and about almost 63, and. I came to Ohio State because I wanted to be part of college life. I was offered scholarships at I don't know how many schools, but I just told her, don't bother. I said, Ohio State doesn't offer scholarships for golf, but that's where I was going to go. And you guys, I probably have told the story before, but I think you get a kick out of. I won a $1,000 scholarship, the JC Juniors between my junior and senior year, and then between my senior year and my first year in college, I won another $1,000 for winning the JC Juniors. So I had $2,000 in scholarship money. That took me to the second quarter of my senior year. Room, tuition, board, everything you could think of. Paid for my fraternity bill, everything. And I had a blast. Matter of fact, last night we had 10 of my fraternity brothers up here at the club last night that were all guys that I went to school with. Can you imagine a bunch of 82, 3, 4-year-olds having dinner? What'd you say? Huh? Who is that over there? I can't see him. I mean, it was hysterical. We had a great time, and but I went to Ohio State to really be a student and be part of what was going on. I was going there to be a pharmacist. My dad was a pharmacist, so I went through 3 years of pre-pharmacy. My dad talked me out of pharmacy school. He said. He says, you can't use your golf behind a counter. He said, why don't you switch over to the business college, which I did, and you use it for that. Use your business degree. Well, anyway, I played, and as you say, enjoyed Ohio State. I learned how to fly fish at Ohio State. Bob Kepler was my golf coach, and he'd come to me, and he's a great guy. When I qualified for the Walker Cup in my sophomore year, I was 19. I'd won the Trans-Miss the year before, so I made the Walker Cup team, and I was a little scared to see Kep. I didn't know what he was going to say. He said, man, congratulations, but are you going to have a great spring? I said, no, we're going to have a great spring. He said, no, you're going to have a great spring. You're not coming to school. You're going to go play golf. I said, what do you mean? He says, you can play next year, the year after. Don't worry about that. I want you to go. You qualify for the Masters. You qualify for the North-South. You qualify to play the British Amateur, the Walker Cup. You're going to have a great spring. No golf coach today would do that, and that's what he did. So I went and I played golf all spring, and we were on the quarter system then, and so I didn't really miss all that much. But anyway, then I came back and we played my junior year at Ohio State, and. We didn't do anything eventful. I ended up losing the Big Ten, second in the Big Ten, and I lost in at the Broadmoor, actually, where I won the U.S. Amateur the year before. I lost the second round of the NCAA that year. Then in my last year, I came back and we won Big Ten at Indiana, and in the NCAA, I won the individual. We didn't win the team at Purdue. But I enjoyed my college. I had a blast. I started by fly fishing. I kept starting me fly fishing. And what he'd do is he'd come out and he'd look at the sky and he says, "Man, it's a beautiful day. It's too nice a day to go play golf." He says, "Why don't we get those guys started off the first tee and you and I will slip out the back door and go fishing?" Which is what we did. We'd get the team started and we'd go. And he knew I was always going to have my golf game in shape. He wasn't worried about that. So we'd go fishing and we got over to Zanesfield and we'd go trout fishing over there. And we'd come back and we'd go out and sit down and have a couple of beers together. And not many coaches sit down with their players and have beers, but we did. We sit down and had a couple of beers together. We'd catch a few fish. We'd cook the fish. And we had a great time. That was my college life. It had nothing to do with playing golf. I just went to Ohio State. I just happened to play golf when I went to Ohio State.
Your follow-up, Rob?
Yeah, I was just going to ask the transition from college and college life to the tour and being a professional. Was that a challenge for you, or were you just used to it? It wasn't that big a difference going from one to the other, or was it?
No, not really. I mean, I'd played enough golf. I'd start playing tournament golf where I'd travel and start playing tours. My first tour tournament, I was 18. I played in Firestone. And then it's the only one I played that year. I played the U.S. Open that year. But then when I was 19, I must have played half a dozen or so. And then 20, the same thing, 21. I played a lot of tour tournaments when I was there. One of the big tour tournaments I played was, I'll never forget, I played in Milwaukee, and I was one shot out of the lead. And Amateur hadn't won a tour tournament in years. And I was really excited about winning it. I called Barbara on a Saturday night, and we talked for about 45 minutes. And the next day I went out. I didn't win the tournament, but I just realized that I talked to her for 45 minutes on my first wedding anniversary. Never mentioned it. I forgot it. Because I was so excited about playing golf. So anyway, it cost me, didn't it, Barbara? Yep, I know. It cost me. But anyway, that was sort of so when I transitioned into playing during pro, I'd been playing enough golf that the only difference was that I was going to be playing for a living and not playing as an amateur.
Okay, we'll go to Doug and then Todd right behind him.
Yeah, Doug.
Jack, the tour schedule looks a lot different than it did when we were in this room a year ago. I just kind of want to get your overall thoughts on it, and perhaps Memorial not having a cut next year, where that stands.
Well, we don't really know. Doug, I'm not sure what the schedule is going to actually be. I opened my mouth too soon down there at the Honda before they announced anything, and they really haven't announced anything even yet. Huh?
Thanks for that.
Incidentally, I know Jay wasn't very happy with me. And I don't blame him because I did not realize that they hadn't done anything. But anyway, and they really haven't finalized what's happening here. So for all out of fairness to Jay, I think I just keep my mouth shut. That's hard for me to do. You know that.
Do you have an opinion on the cut?
Oh, on the cut part, I sort of do. I sort of think I don't know whether they're going to do that or not. I don't know what they're going to do or how many we're going to end up playing. We really don't know that. But as far as the cut thing, I don't like it, but I do like it. And I'll tell you why I mean that. As far as playing the golf tournament, to be able to start here instead of 7 o'clock in the morning, to start at maybe 9 o'clock in the morning and you play most of the day, I think that's okay. That part's fine. What I probably what I like about it is that the other tournaments that are not elevated tournaments get a better field when the tour has only 70 players playing, and you look at a lot of the tournaments going on right now, and you say, well, who's playing in this tournament? And pretty soon you start to see some of those names and that cream come to the top. They're young guys who are getting the opportunity to come out of the Corn Ferry Tour to the regular tour, and the tour, to a large degree, is another stepping stone for them to the big tournaments. And they make a name to learn how to win and learn how to get in. They get into more tournaments. So from that standpoint, I think actually it's a pretty good program. And how we're going to fit into that and how it's going to work, I don't know how many tournaments they're going to have. What do they have, 8 this year?
Designated
Yeah,
tournaments? Yes.
elevated tournaments, yeah. They have 8 of them this year. How it's going to be, how many they're going to have next year, I don't know. I don't think we know that number. And, you know, where we exactly for sure going to fit on the schedule, I'm not exactly sure either. But you know, I think that there's a method in the madness, you might say, that I think they know where they're going and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish. And I think that the tour usually figures out the best way to get something done and goes about trying not to hurt anybody. I know that one of the things they're concerned about is the tournaments in between elevated tournaments and the major championships, and you know, how are they going to fare? And I think that you're talking about the 70. I think it does a better job for them. So we'll see.
Go to Todd, and then if you could slide
Yeah,
that
Todd.
to Adam.
Hey, Jack, just to follow up what Doug was talking about, Tiger at the Masters said he wanted a cut at his event, the Genesis, and he spoke for you saying you wanted a cut as well.
Well, that was before I thought about what I thought could be. I don't really care either way.
So you don't care if you have a cut or no?
I don't care either way. I mean, there's a reason why they would not, and there might be a reason why they would. Obviously, from our standpoint here, it's a heck of a lot easier to take care of 70 or 80 players, whatever it might be, than it is 120. You know, it's a lot easier on Chad and his staff to prepare the golf course in the morning if you've had any kind of weather or so forth to play at 9 o'clock and 7 o'clock. There's a lot of advantages to not having that. But it's just like playing the weekend. You played 4 days of the weekend. So, but I liked the cut before because I liked, we felt like having people play all day was nice to have on the golf course and giving some young guys an opportunity to play that might not otherwise get a chance to play. But as I said, there's 2 sides to that coin, and I think I will leave that to people who are certainly a lot smarter than I am, which would be Jay and those guys.
Todd, can you hand that microphone to Adam? Thank you. Go ahead, Adam.
Just building off that, Jack, how many times did you sweat out making the cut?
Oh, every time that I got close. I didn't miss many cuts, but you know, when I was playing, I probably missed from 1962 to 78, let's just say. I probably made, maybe, I don't know, half a dozen, I suppose, maybe all I missed. I don't really know how many I missed, but not very many. I don't know, my streak was, I had 105 or something like that. I missed a cut. I think where I missed out, I think I'd missed it at Pinehurst, actually. So where I finally missed my streak. I didn't even think about it, but I did. But as far as missing the cut, yeah, when you got down to missing the cut, well, I'm going to go back to what we were the first year I played. The first year I played, you made the cut, 70 players made the cut, but they only paid 50. And I made money in every tournament I played in my first year. And I had a lot of them that just made the cut. So here you are, you're playing 4 rounds of golf, and you're going to make any money. Well, Los Angeles, I made $33, finishing 50th. I shot 64 the last round of Pensacola to make last money. I think I shot 65 last round in Palm Springs to make maybe last money or close to it. You know, that's in those days. You know, to pick up $250, which is what we were making when we would just make the cut. You know, you wanted that $250. It took another week or two of playing golf.
Jack, when your tournament started, the course played under 7,000 yards.
I'm sorry, I missed you.
When the tournament began in the 70s, it played under 7,000 yards. This year, it's edging close to 7,600. If I told you that back then, would you have believed it? What would your reaction have been?
Well, I would hope wouldn't have to do that. I think that what they're doing with the golf ball, hopefully, is a good start. It's going to pull the golf ball back, which is what you're asking about. It's going to probably pull a ball back 14, 15 yards for, you know, a McIlroy or a Thomas or one of those guys, and maybe 10 or 12 yards for maybe the average pro. The average golfer is bifurcated right now. I think they'll I bet it won't be 2 years before they're going to play the same ball the pros are going to play. And all they got to do is move up 4 or 5 yards on the tee because that's the only difference they're going to have. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. The only thing that I've seen is that they keep saying, "Oh, why do we need to change it? The golf ball the game's fine." The problem is you don't have a place to play, and you've got they say, "Well, the golf ball's only increased 0.82 yards a year." Yeah, that's fine. Last 10 years, that's 8.2 yards. What happens the next 40 years if they don't change anything? If they don't change a thing, that's about 34 more yards. That's to every tee shot. That's a lot. So they need to go. They need to do something, and what they've done is, I say, it's a good start. I hope they do something with the golf club to relate to it, so that the golf club, you have to be a little more precise to play a golf shot instead of just hitting it anywhere on the club head. And if you're forced to hit it in a spot on the golf club, you're going to be a little bit more careful of how you hit the shot. So that'll also curb the distance. But you've got, not everybody's got the ability to go buy property at the next golf course to add to their golf course. We don't have any place else to go for any more yardage. 99% of the clubs in the country don't have a place to go for more yardage. To me, the game of golf, if you're going to play tournament golf, you really want to test the golfer. That's theoretically what the tournament's all about. And if everybody's playing a driver and a wedge every hole, they never play any more than a 6 or 7 iron, 5 iron on a par 5. That you lose you lose your ability to be able to test your skills. Did that answer enough of your question?
Well, we get a microphone to Clay, and we'll take a question from Dave in the middle.
Yeah, Jack. I think one thing that people never realize about tournament golf, they see the shots being hit and so forth, but the challenge of concentration over 72 holes. I wonder if you could speak to that. How did you develop that skill, which I think obviously people appreciate about you?
I think if you think about it, every shot means something. And certainly these guys play 72 holes, and invariably every year it usually comes down to who pars 18 or birdies 18 or who bogeys 18 to lose it. And I played 72 holes, so obviously every shot means something. And I just sort of worked hard at trying to make sure that I played every shot like it was, the most important shot that I was playing. Everybody said, what's the hardest shot in golf? It's the next one I'm playing. And it is. You got to make sure that shot is the one you're going to play well, and so it's difficult for you to make sure that you do it. And I don't know how I did that. I just developed that level of concentration, and to me, golf is not 18 holes is not 17 and a half, and forget about the other half a hole. I don't like par birdie 8. I don't like that. That's not my favorite. Because that's what happens when you lose your concentration.
Okay, we'll take a question from Clay.
Yeah, John Rahm said this morning that he had been told that his game is perfectly suited for Muirfield and the Memorial. First time he came here, didn't make the cut, said, "I'm never coming back." Since then...
I don't think he said that.
Okay, well, we'll have to check him.
He came back, didn't he?
He did.
Okay.
And has since won, and then, was in position to do it again. Is he always going to be a good bet here?
I would think so. I mean, Rahm is a good player. I think that more and more players on the tour are playing left to right now than they were for a long time. A lot of guys are trying to control the ball a lot more. It's obviously easier to control the ball left to right than it is right to left. And you get, particularly when you start to get into a fast golf course, you really don't want the ball doing this, tumbling over. You want the ball tucked under a little bit so it hits and so it doesn't run very far. And Rahm is a strong hitter, hits it a long way, plays that way. You got a lot of other guys that will play a bit that way that are good players. There's still going to be some that are going to play right to left, but that's their natural game and what they play. I just think when you get a hard, fast golf course, you really got to control the ball more. And when you get a situation like that, a guy like Rahm will be. I mean, this week, let's see, it would probably conditions would probably eliminate a fair number of the players because they can't play the fast, hard stuff. The guys that have played a lot in seaside golf, and a lot of the guys who have played played well in major championship golfs, those are the guys that'll play well here this week. We've had a lot of first time winners here, and but they've all gone on to be really good players beyond here. So we'll see. I don't know whether I really answered your question or not, Clay, but I tried.
Doug, go ahead.
I have potentially 2 questions that you can try to answer.
Okay.
As much as you pay attention to the tour, any young players stand out to you? Any ones that you either don't know
There's
that
so
well or
many of
curious
them.
about?
I mean, I walk through the locker room and I don't know half the players. I'm walking up to tables and introduce myself. Oh, he says, I'm a rep. I don't know. It's. I know a lot of them. I introduce myself to them. I make sure that that they're welcome and want to know that I love having them come here. Well, congratulate on the opportunity to come and qualify to be here. I think they appreciate that. And as far as standing out, young players, there's a ton of them. We have a lot more Asian players than we've had for a while now on the tour. They're starting to come in, and that's kind of. I mean, I think Hideki more or less sort of led that way. Probably have what will we have? Probably 8 or 10 Asian players in the field this week. Is that probably right? About right?
Pretty accurate. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's great. The more diversity we get, the better off we are from that standpoint. I don't know, how do you put young? I put Rahm as a young player. I put the Cantley is not that young anymore, but they're all young as far as I'm concerned. If they'd have sat at our table last night for dinner, they'd all felt very, very young. I mean, give me some names you're thinking about. How about that? You give me your names.
Cameron Young or
Yeah, now he would be one that he's young. He's only this is his second or third year on tour, is it? This is his third?
Second.
His second full year? Well, he would be one. Now, he played very well at the British Open last year. We'll probably have to think about how he plays when he plays a golf course hard and fast like this. It'd be a little different for him. Good player, nice kid. I like Cameron. Got what's a kid from Australia that Davis?
Cam Davis.
Cam Davis.
What is it?
Cam Davis.
Cam?
Cam, yep.
Yeah.
Another Cam.
Yeah, he just introduced himself to me a little while ago, and he's been doing pretty well, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. President's Cup last year.
Yeah, no, he's President's Cup, yeah. And so you got a lot of them. I can't really.
It's too many.
Well, there's so many of them that are good, but you've got so many of the guys that are just getting close to their prime in their late 20s, early 30s, that are really a lot of pretty good players there.
Second thing I wanted to ask you, and you mentioned the British Open a minute ago. I'm really curious about 63. Was Dallas not the week after Lytham?
Uh-huh.
What was the bigger adjustment for you, going from mid-50s to 100 temperature or going small ball, regular ball?
And a new set of clubs.
I'm sorry, and the new set of clubs.
I just did it because that's what we did. I mean, I knew that I represented Schlesinger overseas, and I represented McGregor in the States, and so I switched from the the small ball, which is the B-51, which was then into the I don't know what was I playing at 1963. I don't know what the devil I was playing. I might have. Who knows what I was playing? I might have been playing a Titleist. I don't know. I don't remember. And from 50 degrees to 100 degrees, from never having a wet spot on you to having all your clothes wet, intense sun with no wind, from windy conditions, it's just what we did. I don't know why I was able to adjust so easily to it, but I'd played really well the week before and felt I gave the tournament away, which I did, and I was still very much on the top of my game, and I went right to Dallas and played well.